Hi everyone, DJ here. Welcome back to the show. If there's one country that I have never been to but might someday, it's definitely Australia. Such amazing history, railways, and natural beauty. However, if your only impression of Australia is Thomas and Friends, you might be wondering why I hold this sentiment, as there, it's portrayed as a giant open outback devoid of civilization. Yes, that's right, this week we are headed back to the Great Railway Show and to the land down under to talk about Shane, the Australian competitor in the strongest engine competition at the Great Railway Show, and frequent recurring character throughout Big World Big Adventures. So without further ado, let's get into it. Shane is a large green Australian tender engine who works for the South Australian Railway, and according to the wiki, works tirelessly to make sure that he is always in the best shape. Not really sure how that works, but okay. He works with two coaches, Aubrey and Aiden, giving tours around the outback to tourists, although he does pull freight trains from time to time. To many, he is known as the Whispering Giant, and his laid-back attitude has given him many friends over the years, as well as gotten him into trouble on at least one occasion. First appearance was in the 2016 Thomas and Friends film The Great Race, where, you guessed it, he was first seen arriving at Brendam Docks by mistake with the other internationals, after which he went to the mainland and could be seen puffing around Bridlington Yard, and later participating in the strongest engine competition, which he presumably lost to Vinny, although that is unconfirmed. Once the show ended, he returned to Australia, and he didn't return to the Thomas and Friends TV show proper until Big World Big Adventures, with several episodes across seasons 22 to 24. Now, the continuity here is weird in this era of the show, as I've said in other videos, as Thomas never visited Australia in the Big World Big Adventures movie, yet the international episodes of the show seem to take place during the events of the movie, so somehow Thomas ended up in Australia without Nia, and had several adventures with Shane and the rest of the Australian gang. In Outback Thomas, Shane impresses Thomas with his knowledge of the Outback and saves Thomas from a rickety old bridge. In Cyclone Thomas, Shane and Thomas deal with Isla the medical plane and an incoming cyclone. In Kangaroo Christmas, Shane, Thomas, and the others celebrate Christmas and help a baby kangaroo. In Laid Back Shane, Shane's laid-back attitude leads to him running out of coal in the Outback, and in Ace's Brave Jump, Shane participates in Ace's Jump across several engines and rolling stock. Shane also appeared in two Great Race Friends Near and Far shorts, one being Shane Surfs in the Slippery Snow, where he falls off tracks while puffing fast on snowy rails in the Himalayas and is saved by Young Bao, and the short Gina the Smart Steam Engine, where he and Gina outwit Vinny in a supposed strongest engine competition. Interestingly as well, Shane also appeared in an official YouTube series called Thomas's Aussie Football Adventure. Yes, this actually exists. From 2017 to 2018. It was made in conjunction between Mattel and the Australian Football League. It featured narration by Mark Morahan, it had John Hasler voicing Thomas, and it featured several AFL stars, such as Matthew Richardson as Shane. He was a former AFL star. And it also featured Gary Ablett Jr. as Gary, and Sabrina Frederick, a current AFL women's player, as well, was featured in the series. So overall, a very interesting run of appearances for Shane, I gotta say. Shane is based on the South Australian Railway's 520 class, designed by Frank Hugh Harrison, built by Islington Railway Workshops in Adelaide, South Australia between 1943 and 1947, of which there were 12 in total. The locomotives were 484s, burned coal, had a top speed of 112 kilometers an hour, and a power output of 2,600 horsepower. Locomotives were nicknamed Whispering Giants due to a whispering sound caused by the system which prevented steam blowback and entry into the cab, which is where Shane gets his nickname from. And they were one of the fastest Australian-built steam locomotives, with 520, Shane's basis, holding a top speed record of over 78 miles per hour, achieved on the Port Pirie line on November 10, 1943. The engines were designed to meet the SAR's growing need for engines that had high tractive effort as well as quick acceleration. The SAR needed to be able to keep up with the growing demand of troop and supply trains thanks to the ongoing Second World War, and thus the 520 class was drawn up, with inspiration being taken from the advantageous features of the previous 500 and 620 classes. The class had a number of interesting design features, such as having their weight spread out evenly across 8 axles, allowing them to perform branch line work, streamlining in the style of the Pennsylvania Railroad T1, and they were the first class in South and possibly the entirety of Australia as a whole to use completely welded boiler assemblies. The locomotives were gradually withdrawn in the early 1960s, being replaced by diesel locomotives, in particular the 830 class. 2 of the 520s are preserved today, 523 at the National Railway Museum in Port Adelaide, and 520, Shane's basis, which is currently awaiting restoration to working condition, having had its oil-burning equipment removed in 1998. This locomotive is at the Steam Heritage Railway in Mount Barker, and carries the name Sir Malcolm Barclay Harvey. Shane himself, of course, gets his number from this locomotive as well. All of this info makes headcanoning pretty easy, to be honest, as we can just say that in the Thomas universe, number 520 was never withdrawn, was given the name Shane at some point, or just always had that name, and in modern times is in perfect tour-giving working order. And wow, that is quite the history. And what's nice is that I really don't have that much to nitpick with this basis, as it's pretty similar to what Shane actually is in the show. A strong and fast engine who can haul goods and freight. Him being an actually famous Australian engine is just icing on the cake, really. And I don't really have that much more to comment on in terms of his character, as it's pretty well put together, no notes there. So I think now is a perfect time to head on into Collection Corner. Alrighty, so here we have the 2018 Adventures Shane, and I gotta be honest, this model is just kind of okay. Don't get me wrong, it is a very well done model, especially given the range it's in, and if I had to be honest, it is definitely one of the better Adventures models, but I just don't feel like this model, while quite well detailed in proportion, portrays Shane's actual massive size all that well. Otherwise though, it's a pretty decent model. I'm giving it a 6.5... No, wait, actually 7 out of 10. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Yeah, 7 out of 10 for Adventures Shane. 7 out of 10. Well, folks, that concludes this episode of Thomas Characters Explained. I had a lot of fun talking about Shane. Just goes to show that sometimes you need an engine with a really cool history to talk about. I want to thank all of the viewers who suggested Shane, and if you have any suggestions for future characters you would like me to cover in this series, please leave them in the comments. See you all in the next video. Bye, guys!